You got to remember, David was a lineage that needed to happen. Jesus was going to be the King of Kings. We'll go to 2 Samuel now. 2 Samuel chapter 7. Oops. Not Kings. I don't want to be jumping books behind again. 2 Samuel verse 7. Chapter 7 verse 12. I think I'm going to do 12 through 17 just to read that. 2 Samuel 7:12. When your days are fulfilled and you lie down in death with your father's ancestors, I will raise up your descendant after you. Who shall be born to you, and I will establish his kingdom. David, when you die, one of your descendants, I'm going to raise up to be king. And David's going, that's my boy Solomon. Yeah, go Solomon. That's my boy. He is the one who shall build a house for my name in my presence, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. It's still Solomon, because remember, God's told David, I can't let you build my house. You were a man of war. But your boy Solomon, I'll let him do it. And David did a wise thing. Well, since I can't build it, I'm going to throw a massive load of money in the bank. I'm going to make sure when Solomon gets there, he's not going to have a care in the world for a penny. It's going to be like, we need a building campaign of X amount. And guess what? We got the check already. It's here. We can go right to building. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. When he commits iniquity, wrongdoing, I will discipline him with a rod of men and with the strokes of my son. He's talking about Solomon. But my loving kindness and mercy will not depart from him, as I took it from Saul, from whom I removed from before you. Your house, royal dynasty, and your kingdom will endure forever before me. Your throne will be established forever. Sounds like starting to set up Jesus. Nathanael spoke to David in accordance with all these words and all of this vision. You're setting up Jesus. Because there's no way my royal dynasty, my house, your kingdom will endure forever before me. Your throne will be established forever. That's a long time. Forever means no end. Somewhere, somehow, we know David's lineage as king and his sons stopped. Like the nation of Israel stopped and had to come back. Jesus is standing on the banks. John, I got to be baptized. I got to be anointed king again. I got to be anointed the priest of the people so that I can sacrifice myself. I've got to have that done because that fulfills the righteousness that the Father set in place many, many years ago. His kingship is being set in place. You could almost say that his baptism was a coronation of his kingship. It's a fascinating thing. Here's Jesus. John, you got to baptize me to fulfill the righteousness. I don't want to do it. I shouldn't do it. You should be doing me. No. You've got to do it so I can feel right. Father said this is what I've got to do. Let's jump to Mark. We'll look at some of the terminology some of the other Gospels use. Mark chapter 1. Because they're using a different point of view describing the baptism. They're using a different point of view when they share their perspective on what was happening. Mark chapter 1 says, In those days Jesus came. Remember, Matthew said, then Jesus came. Mark's saying, in those days. What was Mark's main objective when he wrote about Jesus? What was the one thing he pointed out an awful lot? Remember, it was written to the Gentiles. What was one of the things Mark focused on when he was talking about Jesus? And it was written to the Gentiles. You think, when you look at it a lot of the terminology Mark used, he's talking about the kingship of Jesus. So he's just done set up. In those days, Jesus came. You got John the Baptist, says pretty much the same thing that the other ones say. And it says, last week we talked about then Jesus came. From Matthew's perspective, as a Jewish tax collector, focusing more on the Old Testament,